Hi guys, I'm Charlie Book Fanatic, and excuse my disgusting face today, but I'm going to talk about something I don't talk about much on this channel, if at all, but I want to do, is visual novels. And visual novels, if you don't know what visual novels are exactly what the name says. They are novels, but in visual form. And some people refer to them as video games, which you can do as well. But it's basically, you have a background and you have these characters that look like anime characters. They are drawn in this manga style, which I really love, and they are put on that background, and they get text that will appear at the bottom side of the screen, and you have to press enter or spacebar to read through the text. And sometimes in these visual novels, these characters have so text is in English for most visual novels, but not for most, for quite a lot of visual novels, but most visual novels are originally in Japanese. But sometimes these characters have voice acting in Japanese, which I really love. So today I'm going to talk about these visual novels and the visual novels I have highest on my list of visual novels I want to read. I have quite a lot on my list, and excuse me, some of them have English names because they are translated. All of these are translated, by the way. You can read all of these in English, but most of them have Japanese names, and as you know, I am not Japanese, so I might pronounce these completely wrong, so pardon me for that. The first visual novel I'm going to talk about is a visual novel called Deardrops, and this is a musical visual novel, so it's all set around music, particularly the violin world, I believe. This visual novel, it has medium length, which means it is between 10 and 30 hours. I didn't tell you this, but visual novels are basically very long books, but they can be short, which is under 10 hours, they can be medium from 10 to 30 hours, they can be long, which is 30 to 50 hours, and they can be very long, which is over 50 hours of reading pleasure. And with visual novels, it's also the case that you can make choices in these visual novels, which basically means you read and you get a choice, like 2, 3, even more choices sometimes, which you can pick, and those choices will affect the ending you will eventually get, or they will affect the text you get, but won't affect the ending. But most of the time, they will affect the ending, and you can play at these things again and again and get different text and get different endings if you are completionist, like I am with some visual novels I read. Back to Deardrops now. Deardrops is a visual novel where you play a guy who is supposed to get the girl, I believe, but this guy, Shuichi, is going to live in a live house, is not going to live in a live house, he's going to work in a live house where he meets all of these colleagues who are girls. They will form a band, and you will learn about their personal lives and their band lives, and it's basically a slice of life visual novel. And I personally really like slice of life visual novels, which basically means a part of life, like you're reading about a life, and I really love music and reading about music, and visual novels with musical elements in them, like I expect this to have a soundtrack and music to it because it's about a band, obviously. I honestly cannot wait to read it, and it's medium, which is also nice, so I think it will be the next one I will pick up, because I'm currently reading Grisaia no Kajitsu, which I won't go into in this video because I'm already reading it, and I just finished Kana Little Sister. I will link all the visual novels I talk about down below, by the way, because some titles you may not get exactly, but I will leave those down below. The next visual novel I'm going to talk about is Dracu-Riot, and this is a long visual novel which ranges from 30 to 50 hours of reading pleasure. The story is about Mutsura Yuto, who is a character that goes off to an artificial island where drugs and the sex industry are legal, I believe. On the island, he gets turned into a vampire, and on top of that, he has to enroll in a special school for vampires, which is what the visual novel is about. Again, so cool. I love visual novels about schools, about teenagers, about school lives, and a long visual novel about a vampire, which I haven't read ever before, about a vampire going to a vampire school with all of these other vampire girls. Like, sign me up. Also, I'm going to say, I don't know how PG-13 these visual novels are, because a lot of visual novels have sex scenes in them and have these images of naked bodies in them, so you have to research that exactly if you want to know how much there is in it, if you want any, because it's not all of them, but it's in a lot of visual novels that is the case. It obviously with most visual novels, it's not all about the sex scenes, but they could be in there and they could be quite graphic. So yeah, you should think about that if you want that in your visual novels or not, and you should pick your visual novels based on that if you don't want that. The next visual novel I'm going to talk about and I'm really excited about is Little Busters, and this one is a very long visual novel, over 50 hours of pleasure, and it is about a character named Ricky who loses someone in his life, and then he gets these 4 friends who are the Little Busters, and they basically help him overcome his grief. And now they are in high school and they are still hanging out, and it's basically another slice of life visual novel, which I'm particularly looking forward to, but I don't know how soon I will dive into this because it's obviously more than 50 hours, and I'm already playing a more than 50 hours visual novel, which I want to finish all of the parts of. So I'm currently playing the first part of Grisaia no Kajitsu, so the first ending, and there are a lot of endings. Like, there's a bad ending and a good ending for every single character, so yeah, there is still lots for me to play. And then there is the first Japanese name it's very hard to pronounce, but I'm going to try, okay? I'm going to try. My laptop next to me, and it's called Crescendo, Eien, Dato, Omotte, Ita, Ano, Koro. I said that completely wrong, but I will link it down below, obviously. And this one is a medium visual novel that ranges from 10 to 30 hours. And this visual novel is about a guy named Ryu who looks back at his life at his high school because graduation is approaching, and all of these girls and all of his special memories he has formed during those years, which sounds really cool. So I might pick up this instead of Little Busters. I didn't mean Little Busters, I mean I might pick up this instead of Deardrops, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm really excited for all of these. They're very high on my priority list. So yeah. Then I'm really excited about Princess Evangile, which is a medium visual novel that ranges from 30 hours to 50 hours. This visual novel is about a guy named Okunogo Masawa, I believe. No, Okonogi Masaya, and he is going to this all-girls charm school, and I honestly love that. Like, an all-girls school with one guy, yes, sign me up. I love that. What can you do? I really love playing from a guy's perspective and trying to get all the girls, you know, I don't know. Next one is Rewrite, which is a very popular visual novel, as such is Little Busters, by the way. And this one is very long, over 50 hours. This story is set in a high school setting, and the first part of the story basically consists of everyday life for this guy you're probably going to control, and all of these girls in this high school. And the second part is more emotional and carries a mystery aspect to it, and you basically get to know the characters in the first half of the story, and the second half is going to get faster paced and more emotional, and I feel like this one is really going to make you cry a lot. But this story is about Tanuji Kotoro, who is who can rewrite parts of his body, which basically means he can become stronger and faster whenever he likes, and he is researching these supernatural mysteries with 5 girls in his high school. Then I have Tokyo School Life, which is a short visual novel which ranges from 2 to 10 hours. And this one is a story about an exchange student in Tokyo, and I think it involves 3 girls which you have to connect with in the short time you are on this exchange, I believe. Another high school thing, you know, only this time it's an exchange student who has to fall for one of these girls in the 2 months he's going to be at another school. And the last visual novel I'm going to talk about is another visual novel that has a Japanese name, which I probably can't pronounce, but I'm going to try anyway, and it's Canvas to Akaneiro no Palette, and it's a medium visual novel that ranges from 10 to 30 hours. As you may have guessed, Canvas 2 is not the first visual novel in the game series. Like, visual novels can have sequels, but I don't know why I added this one specifically, but I don't think you have to really play them in that order. But I think this really spoke to me, and I just wanted to play the second game, or read the second visual novel. Like, you know, you can interchange these words like play, read. It's basically about a teacher who has to juggle his private life and the demands of the girls he meets, and it has all these different girls, and it's basically about a guy trying to get the girl with an emotional backstory behind it all, you know. So yeah, these are the visual novels I am excited about, and I honestly can't wait to read a bit more visual novels, but I don't want to delve into too much at once, because obviously some of them are very long, and where you go and play all of these at the same time, you may forget the stories behind some of them, and you will never finish them all. Like, I want to focus on one visual novel or 2 visual novels at a time, because I know I will finish them, but if I focus on more than 2, I will want to play them all, and I won't finish them at all, because I will always play another one, like, you know what I mean? So I think it's best to focus on 1 or 2 visual novels, and if you're delving into the visual novel world for the first time, I would recommend picking a short, either a short or a medium one, to test out if you really like it. But if you don't like a visual novel, I would say don't judge one visual novel. Don't judge the whole visual novel industry on one visual novel, because all visual novels are extremely different, and you may not like one, but that doesn't mean there isn't another visual novel out there for you. So yeah, that was my advice for visual novel seeking. And this is the end of the video, so let me know down below if you like visual novels, if you haven't ever heard of visual novels, if you'd like to delve deeper into the visual novel world. So let me know all that down below. So thank you for watching. Goodbye!